I'm bored. Let's read a book. Oh!
Brettle's commission gave me another idea. I decided to make 2 of the chests, keeping the pieces for the second red oak door chest in the stable when I wasn't working on it. If I didn't do it, no one else would, and Astra never really looked at what I was working on until it was close to completion. He was usually wrapped up in his benches and plain tables and fighting out the coughing attacks. When he wasn't, he was worried about Bostrick or me. He's all right, Laris. He's just not you. If I heard them once, I heard those words a score of times as the winter drew out. Bostrick had more potential than Perlot's Grizzard. Of that I was convinced. But he didn't have the confidence. And only time would build that. First, I made him work on breadboards, but only a few, mainly to give him confidence. The market for breadboards was limited, and designing and carving breadboards that didn't sell wasn't building confidence. I called them display pieces, and 2 actually sold right from the window. Then I talked to Ryzen, who ran the dry goods store off the jeweler street, and persuaded him to commission a storage chest, a simple piece but lined with cedar, to provide a summer storage for woolens. Doing it took twice as long, but I made Bostrick do a lot of things I would have done. "Why don't you do this, sir?" "I have to struggle just getting the lines right." "So did I snapped. "But will I always be here?" "If you're not here, honored Master Crafter, how will I learn?" He said it in a respectful tone with a straight face. Only his eyes betrayed him. "I'm not a Master Crafter, I'm just a journeyman woodcrafter." "I understand, sir." He gave me a hangdog look, and with his unruly red mop, freckles, and bushy eyebrows, he resembled a sheepdog more than an apprentice. Maybe they were too similar. Sometimes it was hard to remember how frustrated and bored I had been, and how I would have liked to have said what I felt. But, honored journeyman, I still don't see what you want. I couldn't help grinning. "Sorry, you're right. It is hard to learn how to do." I took the calipers once again and showed him what I wanted. Then I watched and corrected him when necessary, trying not to laugh. In the end, on that piece, everything worked out. Ryson was pleased and placed an order for another chest, but not until early in the fall, when he would be getting his last shipment of finished woolens from Montgren. Sometimes it didn't work out so well, like the chair for Wessel. Bostrick had trouble with the spooling, and that was my fault. He wasn't ready for it, and I pushed him too hard. We gave his effort, sturdy enough, to the Temple Sisters, and I completed the second one myself. The bonus almost paid for the extra wood. Dear turned out a matched cushion that made the piece even more spectacular, and I made a mental note to have her do more work like that in the future. She would be a real partner for Bostrick. After that, I suggested that Bostrick try a bench to match the ones Destron was making for the Horn Inn. Perhaps the seediest drinkery in Finard. At least, the breakage of Destron's low prices had given him a steady, if poor, income. Destron had humped at my suggestion, coughed some more, but hadn't openly ejected. In the meantime, to try to upgrade Bostrick's finishing skills, I had sketched out a child's table for him, scaling down a simple one from Dorman's incredible plan book. Once I had gone through it several times, I explained the reasons for everything. Bostrick finally nodded. I could sense the understanding. The table turned out well, although it sat in the window for more than an 8-day, before Ryson, the dry goods merchant, paid 2 silvers for it and a matching pair of armless chairs. I think that was because the weather had closed in, drifting snow over the roads toward Kyphros, and an expected shipment of Kyphros silverware had been delayed until after the holidays, so he needed a year-end present for his littlest. I put my share into the hidden strongbox to go with the dower chest, and Bostrick bought himself a pair of boots, barely used, but an improvement to his muckers. Still, the table had been an experiment that almost hadn't sold, and that bothered me. We couldn't count on the weather to save us every time. I rubbed my chin, then looked at the white oak I was working for a corner cabinet. The white oak was so clean, but that meant any mistake there, no one would miss it. At least no one with half-trained eyes. Strangely, the same was true for black oak, but for the opposite reason. Everyone scrutinized it so closely that inevitably the flaws were discovered. With a silent sigh, I looked over the boxes and the side table on the display stage and out into the mid-morning, gloomy as only late winter morning could be in Fenard. Finally, I added another log to the hearth. "I'll be back," Destron hunched himself into his sweater and looked at the square storage box on his bench. Bostrick, behind Destron, raised his eyebrows at the box, then looked to me. I glared, and he sighed. Destron wasn't always communicative. Bostrick was going to end up with everything, and the least he could do was accept Destron's faults. "Do take care, honored journeyman." His voice was mock plaintive. I swallowed another grin and drew my cloak around me as I stepped out onto the chill street. Making sure the door was closed behind me, my steps carried me toward the market square. As I stepped onto the sidewalk beside the avenue, one of the few streets with an actual raised stone sidewalk, separate from the road surface, I could sense a tension in the chill and damp air, without even a hint of breeze. The odor of wood smoke hung over Fenard, imparting an acrid edge to every breath. A tinker pushed his cart listlessly toward the square. Behind him waddled a balding and white-haired man carrying a satchel. Neither looked up as I skirted them. Overhead, the sun was lost behind the featureless gray clouds that appeared unmoving. Dink! A glimmer of golden wood caught my eye. Just as the unsmelled odor of chaos gripped at my feelings, as the Chaos Master's coach rolled by slowly, drawn by the 2 oversized white horses I had first seen on the road from Freetown the previous fall. Behind the coach were the same 2 guards on their matching chestnuts, and the same dead-faced coachman drove. Outlined in the coach window was the profile of a woman, the veiled woman I had seen at the inn in Howlett. The coach rolled down an avenue before I really cast my senses at the passengers. Crack! The whiplash was metal, but I nearly cringed on the street from the force of the reaction, and the immediate dull ache. Retreating behind the defenses Justin had taught me, I forced my steps to remain even as I continued toward the square. The mechanical voice of the driver echoed from the bricks and stones. I did not rub my forehead, much as I wanted to, wondering at the fleeting impression I had received of 3 people within the coach. There had only been 2 that I knew. By the time I had passed the square, with the rusted open market gates patrolled by the prefect's guards, and that was further toward the palace. I could see that the heavy iron gates of the palace had already closed. I shook my head slowly, turning back toward Destrans. Every time I acted without thinking, I exposed myself. Now Antonin would know that I had been there. There was at least one Order Master in Fenard. The contact had been so brief, and his response so automatic and contentious. I hoped that he would not recognize me as an outsider or from Recluce. I hoped, but there wasn't much else to do, except keep on woodworking and learning, and trying to think before I acted, and all that without letting my boredom push me. Overhead, the clouds remained gray, but the faintest hint of a breeze touched my cheeks. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on any of my videos. See y'all in the next one. Goodbye!